Well, this one was definitely not on the bingo card, according to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who has a pretty reputable track record, especially surrounding developments around Apple, but this is probably more of a Tesla inside source. Apparently, they're looking at a timeline to launch CarPlay on Teslas by the end of this year, around the holiday update. This was not something a lot of people saw coming because Tesla has been pretty adamant in the past that they don't need CarPlay. They want to do everything themselves, and they just want to have their own operating system, not give up that control to any third parties, which is why so many of us were just expecting Teslas were never going to have CarPlay. And frankly, there were a lot of companies following in Tesla's footsteps. Like Rivian has been saying the same thing. They don't want to give up control. They want to have complete authority over their displays and their software. So they don't want to support Android Auto or CarPlay within the vehicle. And even GM on their latest products, like the super cheap new Chevy Bolt, which I love, great range, LFP and NACS and everything, but still one of those kind of sour stains in a lot of those new GM products is they decided they don't want to support CarPlay. They are partnering with Google, but they're having Google do like the whole vehicle operating system. It's like an enhanced version of Android Auto, and I guess that means not supporting CarPlay because they want to have more complete authority over the vehicle's operating system. So that's why this is kind of coming out of left field and why it's probably right for a lot of people to be skeptical of this report. This is not a confirmation from Tesla. However, I do want to indicate in this video my thoughts on the report by saying I actually think this is real. I could be wrong. It could end up being scrapped, and it's also easily one of those situations where it's true that Tesla is exploring CarPlay and looking for the best way to implement it, but at the last second, Elon could walk in the room and say, this is a dumb idea, don't launch it. That kind of thing happens all the time. We knew for years Tesla was working on their own independent app store so that third parties could develop games and streaming service apps for Tesla's vehicles themselves, allowing Tesla to save a lot of the implementation work, which is what they've been doing so far. Anytime you want to have Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple Music, YouTube Music within your Tesla's own software guys have to work on incorporating that themselves. Whereas if they had a generalized app store, a lot of third parties like Peacock or Max, they could make apps for Tesla, and as long as they only work in park, then I don't think it would be at a compromise of security or anything like that. But anyway, the point I wanted to get to as to why I believe this report is real is Bloomberg is a major, huge news site, and Mark Gurman has a pretty reputable track record around much bigger launches than just software development. He was the guy who leaked the term liquid glass on iOS 26 and everything, as well as the rebranded naming of Apple's operating systems this year. So for one, Mark Gurman's pretty reputable and has a great track record, but even though he's not always correct, yes, he has been wrong on a few things, it's also worth mentioning Bloomberg and Mark Gurman have been posting about CarPlay adoption on Twitter, okay? Elon is very active on Twitter, and I guarantee you there are likely hundreds, if not thousands, of Tesla verified employees on the same platform that these headlines are being posted on, and none of them are disproving it. Elon Musk or Lars, Tesla's head of engineering, or Wes, the head of the Cybertruck program, they're very active on Twitter, and in the past they've been very quick to discredit or write about news articles that are flat out lying or just making stuff up for the sake of clicks. And I am absolutely certain that one of those guys saw this headline and actively chose not to shoot it down. I've seen them shoot down all kinds of other headlines that says, no, you're misrepresenting data. Even the Tesla's own media account now will go and call out mainstream media headlines that they know are false. And they've all been quiet on these reports. So that's not a confirmation of anything, but that's just my own interpretation of what's going on online as to why I do believe the reports of CarPlay being added are true. And Mark Gurman's report kind of goes into why. So for one, he's saying it's not CarPlay Ultra. So it is not the version of CarPlay that would completely take over the entire display, which kind of makes sense knowing Tesla. They're probably looking for the shortest path of adoption of this software, and it would just get really messy if you tried to do Tesla FSD visualizations within CarPlay and giving CarPlay the option of changing the speedometer and the gear selector, which especially on Tesla's newer cars are very screen dependent. No, what I think this is likely going to look like as far as adoption is you're just going to see that little little CarPlay icon in the list of apps that you can choose from in the dock on Tesla's OS. And when you open it, it's just going to run in that 2/3 box on the display. It's not going to take over the FSD visualizations or the gear selector. That's just going to stay the same as it is right now. But I do think Tesla will likely be able to adopt it better than all of these hundreds of third-party companies that have come up with ways to accommodate for CarPlay on your Tesla, which I think the existence of all of those CarPlay accessories and third-party solutions is evidence enough that there is a huge demand for this, despite the fact that, yes, most of the time Tesla owners are not the ones asking for it. At least on Twitter, it's very obvious. Like, most Tesla people are like, I wouldn't use CarPlay. I don't miss CarPlay. I don't need CarPlay. You hear that all the time, and it's true that Tesla's in-house OS is really, really good, especially with EV route planning. As far as the United States is concerned, there's really no parallel. No one else has been able to beat it. Rivian's gotten close, but still not quite as good. But yeah, if you want to find native software in a car as good as Tesla's, you basically have to go to China. But still, there are a ton of non-Tesla owners that have said they would not consider buying a car without CarPlay. And as Tesla is likely probably struggling to sell vehicles, especially now that the EV tax credit is gone, and there's still a ton of brand damage done from Elon himself, they're looking for simple and cost-effective things they can do to try to boost demand. And just by looking at the amount of clicks and online attention that's been generated by a Bloomberg headline, I think that's a good indication that this is a high in-demand feature that probably takes very little on Tesla's end to incorporate. It's really just a few lines of software. They're already heavily integrated with the phone and the mobile app, and even if you're super bullish on robo-taxis and the future of Tesla, I've seen a ton of people agree that we kind of live on our smartphones, and apparently Tesla isn't planning on releasing their own smartphone, despite what some channels may say. So the idea that you're already on your phone, you're hailing the robo-taxi yourself from your iPhone, makes sense that when you get in the robo-taxi, it should be relatively simple to cast things like your music or your photos or third-party applications that are already installed on your phone onto the display within the Cybercab or within the backseat of the Model Y, whatever robo-taxi you happen to hop into. And there's a lot of advantages to that cooperation because our phones are so powerful and have so much data on what we're doing in our daily lives between our calendar and our messages and our podcasts and our music. Why not give people the option to incorporate a lot of that navigational preference and third-party data directly onto the in-vehicle display? It's probably a lot easier to add CarPlay than it is for Tesla to start making phones. And what I never understood about the people who are diehard, like, I hate CarPlay, I don't want CarPlay, is no one's saying that you have to use it. Like, I don't use the Apple Music app in my Tesla, but it's there because it doesn't hurt anything to offer that for the people out there who do want to use it. So if you don't want to use CarPlay in your Tesla, don't worry about it. Why are you watching videos about it? Why are you commenting on it? Your Tesla's still going to work perfectly fine. It's not changing if you don't want it to change. But this is the reason I've been so adamant that Tesla should add CarPlay for years, is because I really don't see how it hurts anything. It gives people the option of using Apple Maps for once, because I've been very fed up with Tesla's navigation system. Google Maps has been horrible in my experience and unreliable, and I would love the option of falling back on my iPhone for navigation, which I'm far more likely to update. And there's a good chance, like, as I drive my LFP Model 3 for tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of miles, the cellular modems in my car are going to get slow and stop working and get throttled by the carriers. And maybe I don't feel like paying for premium connectivity forever, right? But my phone, I'm going to have a data plan on that anyway, and I'm far more likely to upgrade my phone every couple of years than I am my car. So letting my phone do a lot of the connectivity and navigation so that it gets the latest modems and it can update faster than my Tesla can just makes way too much sense in my head. And it's kind of 4D underwater chess of Tesla to kind of get the industry comfortable with the idea of not supporting CarPlay. So now Rivian doesn't have it, GM doesn't have it, but then you add it back all of a sudden, and now you've got some pretty compelling reasons to consider a Tesla over a GM product or a Rivian product, because now the Tesla might get CarPlay, but the Rivian won't. So kind of funny how that works. But what do you guys think of Tesla adopting CarPlay? I think there's a way to do it really simply and elegantly, and I would absolutely love to try it on my car, and I hope we end up getting that as part of the holiday update later this year. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.